After Pascal Siakam was traded to the Indiana Pacers, it was revealed that Indiana was his preferred destination all along, and one of the big reasons why is his desire to link up with one of the Pacers stars that actually isn't Tyrese Haliburton. And this story goes even further to explain why his time in Toronto maybe could have been even better. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports 2, the second channel in the Amateur Hour Production Network for additional Toronto Raptors content and videos just like this. If you like what you see from this one, then make sure you drop a like, and for more videos just like this, especially concerning the Toronto Raptors, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, helping us on the road to 2,000 subs. So, we're in the wake now of the news that Pascal Siakam was dealt to the Indiana Pacers. He's likely to make his debut very soon, and we have had some very interesting reports since the Raptors traded him away. We learned that perhaps Indiana was his favorite destination, even if he was traded somewhere else, which is possibly why no trade materialized with, first of all, the Sacramento Kings, second of all, the Golden State Warriors. The reports coming out are that Siakam actually may have just ended up signing as a free agent with the Indiana Pacers if he wasn't traded to Indiana. Now, I think he would have stayed in Toronto if Toronto had not have traded him, but if it wasn't going to be Toronto, it was going to be Indiana. And sure, he's been in conversation with Tyrese Haliburton. Yes, he does want to play with Tyrese Haliburton, but Pascal Siakam has made some pretty bold claims about another player on the Indiana Pacers being perhaps one of the players he wanted to link up with the most on an NBA court after a dazzling 8 years playing with the Toronto Raptors, blew away all expectations, going from just an energy bench guy to two-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA member, MIP, G League Finals MVP, NBA champion. He had an absolutely dazzling time in Toronto. Probably a candidate to get a jersey retired. I don't think it will go that far. I think if he had remained longer, that would have been the case, but nonetheless, a Toronto Raptors legend. But maybe his time in Toronto could have gone even better, as I alluded to in the intro, and perhaps it could have gone better had the Raptors maybe had more of a commitment to putting a team around him that catered a lot more to his strengths than they ended up doing. And, well, Pascal Siakam spoke about his dream teammate list recently, and it was revealed that, well, one of his dream teammates, in fact, second on the list, actually already plays for the Indiana Pacers, and we'll go into why this actually factors into what the Raptors maybe didn't do for Siakam in just a second here. But Siakam, on his list of dream teammates, number one was Kevin Durant. Number two, surprisingly, was Miles Turner. It was said that during all those years in Toronto, Siakam would tell people close to him how Turner was the kind of stretch five who would work wonders for his game. After his dream scenario of the Raptors somehow landing Kevin Durant, league sources say, Turner was up next on his personal list of players with whom he would like to play. So, I mean Miles Turner is a good player, like absolutely, but to have number one on your list be Kevin Durant and number two be Miles Turner. I got a pretty good chuckle out of this one, but it goes to show you the type of team that Pascal Siakam wanted around him. And Pascal Siakam, consistently with the Raptors, had to fight through all these spacing issues. Like, he was an all-star last season, despite the Raptors being one of the worst floor spacing teams in the NBA. Consistently, he was dealt very poor hand in terms of roster talent around him, but he was just so good that he would always fight through these spacing issues and have these outrageous averages, these outrageous numbers in the season. I think Siakam at times was just so good that we're like, well, we don't really have to do much for him because he's already doing all these phenomenal things without having to cater the roster around him. But what this kind of hints me towards is that Siakam, he feels as though he never really got the right roster to really cater to his strengths and get the most out of his game, first of all. And I'm always going to look back upon this Pascal Siakam era, this wonderful era where, after the championship, after Kyle Lowry left, I'm going to look upon this era as not necessarily like as close to a wasted opportunity as it can be, because the Raptors never really gave Siakam a fair crack at being the number one option, other than that season where the Raptors lose in the second round of the playoffs in 2020 following their NBA championship to the Boston Celtics. Like, that season wasn't really supposed to happen. Like, after Kawhi Leonard left, the expectation was that essentially, like, the Raptors were going to fall off, and they didn't. And a big reason why is because Siakam had his first All-NBA season, but this was also the season with the lockdown period, where we are away from the NBA for 3 months. And in those 3 months, Siakam couldn't get in a gym. It was very hard to access gyms anywhere. Like, unless you had a private gym in your house, your apartment, whatever it may be, you weren't really playing basketball. And Siakam didn't touch a basketball, he said, over the course of that lockdown, which probably had direct correlation to Siakam struggling immensely in the bubble and struggling immensely in that 2020 playoff series against the Boston Celtics. And I think that poor playoff run has stuck with Siakam in terms of the way he's perceived amongst NBA media. I think that series has stuck with him even to this day. And I think a little bit of that series is the reason why the Raptors, the front office, Masai Ujiri, never really committed to him as the centerpiece of this team. Like, yes, they treated him as the best player, but they were hesitant to really go all in with Siakam as that number one guy. And, it didn't help that there was the Tampa season where the Raptors really couldn't do anything. Then they come out of the Tampa season, all of a sudden have an overachieving season. They drafted Scotty Barnes, who blew away all expectations in year one. They ended up being a 5 seed. And then the whole conversation started shifting towards, okay, using the team around Scotty Barnes. Is that the way forward? Is it using the team around Pascal Siakam going forward? So there's all these conversations and back and forth and a lot of indecision as a result from the front office, and they never ended up committing to Siakam as a centerpiece for, again, the number of reasons. The Tampa season, the struggles in the playoffs, and the one chance he had to lead the team in a playoff series. Like, sure, he also had that Philadelphia 76ers series in 2022. Was it 2021? 2022. And the Raptors were the underdogs in that series. And Siakam had one bad game in that series, but it was the all-important Game 3 where the Sixers take that 3-0 lead. So in those very minuscule chances, perhaps he didn't take those opportunities, but he was fantastic in Games 4 and 5 of that series, which became must-win games. But he never really had that floor-spacing team around him. And again, there was just a variety of different things that maybe hampered the Raptors' ability to go and do that. But I will always wonder what this team could have looked like and could have achieved had they committed to Siakam as that number one option. But perhaps, I think a lot of people will watch this video and say, well, Siakam never proved himself overwhelmingly to be the number one option that you could bank on and that you could build around. Had he been that little bit better, then there would have been more confidence to go ahead and do that. And I suppose fair enough, but my pushback on a claim like that would be last season, the team wasn't even that good. Siakam was the best player, and the front office still felt comfortable enough to invest at the deadline to acquire Jakob Poeltl. Now, we all know that was a mistake. Masai Ujiri probably even knows that was a mistake, even though he's not willing to quite fully admit that was the case. But the fact that they were invested enough in Siakam as the best player to give that core an even longer extended run to go and acquire Jakob Poeltl showcases they had faith in that team and faith in Pascal Siakam. But the indecision over the years and never committing to him as the number one option will always leave us wondering what that era could have looked like, could have been even better, and could we have heightened what we got out of Pascal Siakam even more? Well, I guess now Raptors fans, we're kind of going to be behind the glass looking on as Siakam plays with this high-octane offense with a ton of floor spacing. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic, but this high-octane offense, tons of floor spacing, his second highest dream teammate on that list in Miles Turner here. I think that we're really going to see Siakam. I know he's pretty much the wrong side of 30, and for a player who uses athleticism so heavily in his game, you might think it's going to his game might decline a little bit at a certain point, but I think there's a new level for Pascal Siakam to hit. I think he could even put on his best season in next year with the Indiana Pacers as they cater the team around him and Tyrese Haliburton. He's in a spot where he can be that second star as well. So with the floor spacing, the playmaking of Haliburton, and Siakam's skill set in general, as a Siakam fan, I'm excited to see just what he can look like and perhaps the right setting for him to thrive. I'll understand always why it never happened for the Raptors, why they never fully committed to him, but it will always be that big what-if story for me, especially if he does take on this new level with the Pacers. So what do you make of this comment? Siakam saying that his dream teammate behind Kevin Durant is Miles Turner. Give me your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. That's all for me for today. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content on this channel with this button right here. But check out my other channels. My main channel for more Raptors content right here. My reaction channel for the best stream clips and highlights from the videos, or from the streams rather, on this channel. There's also another video here you may want to check out with me reacting to Masai Ujiri's press conference. But I'll see you again next time for another video right here on Amateur Sports number 2.